Hello YouTube, my name's Jason and this is Lineware. Today we're going to resume talking about methods and constructors, and we're going to talk more about parameters and how they work. So basically I created a new integer right here because the first thing we're going to talk about is variable argument, or varargs. It's varargs spelled like that. There's probably another pronunciation for it, but I basically broke it down to var and args. So that's what I'm calling it. And the way you set up one of these is that you come down to where your parameters is and you add these little periods. And as you remember, it used to be like this, and the reason I'm getting an error is because I have this right here, and I've made a bunch of modifications to this, and more errors up here because now we only have one and it's not vargs. Okay, so let's see. The way you would set it up is you would set your periods where your parameters are. If you remember, we had the public class inherited from constructor, and we cast integer cat. And now we're saying, well, I don't know how many variables I want to send to class inherited from constructor. So I'm going to put these little periods right here, and however many comes through, I'm just going to go ahead and accept it anyways. And the way it writes out is like an array. And the way you would do this is say we have our dog, cat, and integer. So let's go ahead and delete this right here, and let's pass dog, cat, and bird to it. And when you pass dog, cat, and bird to it, I want to delete this right here too, because we don't need that anymore. And I'm going to delete that. We're going to talk about that later. And so I'm sending all these over to it, and whenever I run it, this is what we get. Oh snap, what has happened? As you can tell, that was a little bit of sarcasm from me. And what happens was, whenever you send a variable over to your constructor or method and it has this varargus, it's basically saying, and you try to call it, it's saying, what one do you want me to do? So you have to do it like you do an array. You put your little square brackets and you say 0. And the reason I said 0 is because dog equals 0, cat equals 1, and bird equals 2. Because it sets it up like it's an array. And now when you see that I run it, as you can see, now cat equals 5. So now that we have that, also you can set these up to be just numbers. They don't actually have to be a integer or a variable or a field. It can actually just be a number you're sending over, but actually it can be anything of that type. Like this is an integer, that's why it's a number. If it was a string, say I did string, I'd get errors because it doesn't take strings. But if I was to say dog, cat, bum, and throw these inside of some double quotes, I could take them over here. And now whenever I print it, we get cat equals dog, but that's because all we did was pass a name. We didn't pass a number or anything. Let's go ahead and change this back to these 54 and 53, and let's change this back to an integer. Is it integer? Okay. And it's 15. So the next thing I need to tell you is that when naming a parameter, you can name it anything but a class name, a method name, or anything used except for like a member, which was your inherited variables, like your class variables and your instance variables. You can name them after that. That's why this is called cat now. It used to be called X, but now I've called it cat, and it still works. And what this is it's shadowing the actual member, and it's by convention. It's not big on it unless it's sending a specific one. Like if I was to say I wanted to call the dog, you remember dog equals, right now it's equaling, here we'll just write it out, dog. So we're sending dog over and we're calling it cat, and we're getting cat equals 5. But cat does not equal 5. Cat equals 7. So by convention, what you would do is you would actually, if you were going to call this after a member variable, you would have to call it like this. Just proper programming grammar, as you would say. And as you can see, now cat equals 7 because I sent cat equals 7. Also, when sending things over, you can pretty much send anything over. You can send objects over, you can send methods over, you can send pretty much anything. You can send variables, like say I wanted to send class inherited from over. Let's go ahead and do that with this one. We're going to do it with this one. Yeah, let's do that one. No, we'll do it with this one. Let's see. Cat. Or we're gonna get in there. Let's see. Class inherited from. But we can't send it right now because we don't have it created. So we're gonna go class down here in our parameters, inherited from, and then give it a name and end it with a semicolon. And when we send it over, well, I guess I can't do that right there, because here we go. I forgot to put the new class inherited from. There we go. Now we can send it over. So I've sent a new class inherited from over to this parameter. So now X equals a new class inherited from object. We don't do anything with it, so there's no point in printing it on the screen. The next thing I'd like to go over is when you create a method, because I've created this method right here. Well, I didn't create it, but I called it. And the only reason I can call this is because I created this method inside the same class as the main method. And that's why I didn't have to create an object for it when I called it. So I can do system.out.print line and say this is the other method. When we print this, as you can see, this is the other method. It's called. So that'll be all for today. We're going to go over objects in more detail in the next tutorial, and we're going to go over classes in more detail on the next tutorials. My name's Jason. Thank you for watching. This was Lineware. Please comment, rate, and subscribe, and have a great day.